You are listening to Hard House History with Paul Glazby.
Dexter Jones from the
Hello.
Dexter Jones podcast. Welcome.
Yes. How bizarre. Do you know what? I've never been on this side of the camera before.
Oh, how does it feel?
Ever. It's the first time I've ever done a podcast. So, it feels very weird.
Yeah. Well, so you feel comfortable in the next few minutes?
Of course I will, mate. I've spoken to you for enough hours anyway. I think we did about 3.5 hours in the end, you and me on our podcast. So yeah, no, it's quite cool. I'm looking forward to this.
Excellent. So when we spoke, there's a few parallels between your story and my story, but that early, like I would imagine you start clubbing when you're 17, 18, something like that. I would have.
My dad was involved with the early rave scene.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
So down on the South Coast. So he used to have warehouses and do you remember the old American car washes where you used to drive a car through and girls used to clean it and stuff like that. You see it, the Polish crews do it nowadays, you know?
Right,
but
yeah.
Back in the day, he had a warehouse with topless girls. Right. Basically washing cars, and you could no way do it nowadays, you know. No. But he had this warehouse for another reason as well, and he used to put on illegal raves in there. And I always used to wonder why there was huge pallets of water. Just by the stairs going up to the office, there was huge pallets of water. But he kind of used I think he used the car washing business as more of a front. He knew it wouldn't last forever, but he was very much involved in that game. And people around me, I wasn't really into the music as such, but yeah, I started very, very young, understanding what that world was about.
So because you're a touch younger than me, I think, aren't you? So that would have been, you're talking like late 80s, early 90s?
Yeah, really early, late 80s. Yeah, late 80s when I was down there. First time I went properly raving was 90, I think. It was all the old, do you know what? My memory is incredibly bad for dates, of obvious reasons. And it was all a bit of a blur back then. So I was going to the original Labyrinth in London and World Dances and Helter Skelter's Dreamscapes. And I was really into my rave music for a good few years from when I was living in Croydon. And then someone just mentioned going to this club called Strawberry Sunday. And I think that was 93. Okay. And it was underneath Cat's Theatre in Drury Lane. It opened at midnight. It shut at midday. I don't think there was any alcohol served. And it was just this weird music. I've never heard it before. It was just all house music. And I don't ever really heard like rave music, you know, like Dougal, Psy, Hixie, Hype, the drum and bass as well I was getting into because it was around about the time that it split. And so I just walked into this place and I just fell in love with the whole vibe. It was just really low. It was only about 300 people there, and it was just off the wall. It was very, very, it was very raw. You know, a lot of stuff went on in there that you just couldn't get away with nowadays. And I ended up going back every single week. And I never forget, if I didn't go a week, I'd literally sit at home close to tears. I felt like I was missing out so badly. And I'm still speaking to many of those people from that era and from that club today. So it kind of set me off on a voyage, Strawberry Sunday.
So 93, how old? You must have been like 15 or something.
No, I'm 49.
So. Oh, you're older than me then?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, right. Well, that makes more sense.
I just look young, mate. No, I stopped drinking just stopped drinking 19 years ago. And I think that's kind of slowed the aging up because I look at photos of me 10 years ago and I look older, which is mad. It's mad what alcohol can do. And it's just weird thing is when I go back to Ibiza every year and I see people who are heavy drinkers, I can see them age every year because I haven't seen them for 12 months or 9 months, or 10 months. And I can see particular people who have actually aged through that season. And I think alcohol is a great ager of people. And I knocked that on the head and started my health trip in 9 years ago when I had to stop drinking because I was just killing myself.
Mm.
But yeah, so hopefully it's kept me a bit more youthful.
Right. Yeah. So 93, then you would have been 15, 16 then.
I was about
16,
that.
17.
Yeah. Because I was at college, first raise, 15, 16. I was going to a little bit earlier that, but I really started my raving when I found Club UK, Strawberry Sundays. So about 93. So I was 16, 17, 18. And then as from the university days, I mean, I think I had like 2 or 3 first years. I just wasn't focused on it. I was just focused on this thing called electronic music. And I was so distracted by it. And I bought my first set of 1210s. And that's where I got my name Dexter from, because I was always on the decks. My name's Jonathan.
Oh,
yeah.
Right. Okay.
My name's Jonathan. And the guy called Richard Stenton, if he's ever watching out there, because I'd love to see him again, he just lent out of flat number 7, Rich. And he went, "Oi, you're going to stay on those decks all day, or you coming to the student union Dexter?" And he just said it like that, and it fucking stuck. And by the time I got to the student union that day, everyone was calling me Dexter, and it spread like wildfire. And even my mum refers to me as Dexter in front of my children and stuff like that. So I know I'm in trouble if I'm called Jonathan. And it just absolutely flown. I have problems with guest lists and all sorts of things, and I have to explain to people that that's not my real name, and bring different IDs with me and all sorts of stuff sometimes. So it can be a bit of a pain sometimes, but yeah, it was very eye-opening. I was very heavily involved in that house music scene. I wasn't involved in promoting until my first ever events at university, and we started doing some events there in 1995. I think that was my first.
And how old were you when you got your first car?
About the same age. No, about 6, 7, 8, 9, 8. God, you're asking some questions now. 93.
And how many times a week did you take it through that car wash?
Yeah. No, never. I was a little bit younger then, actually. But yeah, my dad had a couple of those. My dad was a rogue. My dad was a villain. I don't really get on with him very well.
Right.
And he's just a crook, through and through crook. And my mum wasn't, and I'm very close with my mum. But my dad was always in and out of prison, always in and out. And some of the people that he mixed with were very dodgy. And I suppose in that dark world, that's how he got into the fast money of rave music at the time, because it was completely unlicensed. And yeah, he would turn a quid on anything. But yeah, he was a horrible person. So I don't have any communication with him these days. But it was kind of because of him why I fell into this whole dance music world. And yeah, but I did fall in love with it. I mean, especially when I found Club UK, and I loved world dance and the rave, the hardcore. But when I found house music, that was a completely different story. And then Strawberry Sundays just blew my mind, because that was all sorts of house, from the happy house, as we used to call it back then, all the way through to the banging hard house that Chris Martin would play at the end, like with is it Perplexer or whatever, some of those really hard tunes. So yeah, it was a passion, and I used to go every week. And then we used to go to Sunny Side Up, then we used to go for one club in Brixton, and we just raved Saturday, Sunday into Monday morning every single week. And that's why I didn't get a degree at all. And after a couple of times of trying that, I just decided I was an avid record collector. And unfortunately, I got burgled, and all my records got stolen. Thousands of records. I used to spend for many years. If I had any money besides the money I would take to Strawberries, I would spend it on vinyl. And like back in the day, it was just constantly going up to different record shops all around London, spending the whole of Saturday literally traveling, taking 3 trains up to Watford. And yeah, I'd spend everything. And then one day I was living in Enfield, and I come back home, and some twat had broken in and burgled me and took everything, my 1210s, my beautiful Vestax mixer, and all my tunes, everything. And I just literally collapsed, and I just didn't know what to do with myself. And then my relationship that I was in off the back of that went bad. I was drinking a lot. So I made a really sensible decision and moved to Ibiza.
Yeah, as you do.
Yeah, I think I got burgled in end of, I think I got burgled in like November, and April the 7th, I landed in Ibiza.
Right.
And that was meant to be for a couple of weeks. And I didn't come back for 10 years.
You didn't go back at all? Or you just...
Not really, no. No,
Right.
I went back the first year. I went back for a couple of weeks and just couldn't handle England and flew straight back.
Right.
This was the days of the winter in Ibiza. You didn't have social media. You couldn't work online. It just didn't exist. And the only work you could get was building or a bit of bar work, but there weren't any bars open. And I wasn't a builder. I'm useless when it comes to anything around the house. And so I made a few quid when I went back to England. I suppose I was there more than a few weeks, probably a couple of months. But then I flew back. And Ibiza used to be very cheap in the winter. Very cheap. We would spend, like, sometimes we wouldn't spend anything on our rent. We would villa sit. We would stay in people's villas, because sometimes if you leave a villa just sitting around, you never know what's going to happen. I think I remember John, the gardener who used to look after Eric Murillo's villa, saying, he'd just gone up there and one of the pipes had burst and literally flood the whole villa, and stuff like that could happen in the winter. So people would come to us paupers and ask to stay in their villas for the winter, which was absolutely crazy for us, So we'd be spending winters in these multi-million-pound villas. Especially Chris Judge was one of the guys that did that a lot. And but it was just so cheap. It was ridiculously cheap. You'd be spending a third of what you'd be spending in the summer on rent and beer and stuff like that. But now it's completely the opposite. It's even more expensive. So there was a small group of us who used to live literally in the ship, and we used to just drink and get on it all winter, and that was it. But youth was on our side then, and we could do it. But as the years went on and the winters went on, it was just like you would hit it so hard in the winter that when you come into the summer, you'd be like, oof, I'm not ready for this, because all you've been doing is drinking all winter because you had nothing else to do. And so then you start hitting the summer, and what you do in the summer, you start working the clubs. It was incredibly toxic and an unhealthy environment. And many of us walked away from Ibiza with alcoholism or drug problems. And we are that generation of drug takers and alcohol abusers. And unfortunately, I had to go into AA, and many of the people around me did as well. And some of the people that I live with died. It's as simple as that. I mean, we used to lose a friend a year, I think I'd estimate it, from that era, who was either killed in an accident caused to alcohol, which was probably more likely than anything, or through just abuse. It's pretty hard to drink yourself to death, but some people I know did. But it's pretty easy to kill yourself in a drunken, stupid accident. And that happened to a lot of the people living on Ireland. And the big moment is when you decided to leave Ibiza and went back to England. Because in Ibiza, it's normal to wake up and have a beer and go into the coffee shops and have a beer, or a shot with the builders and going to work. But when you come back to England and you're seeing everyone going 9 to 5, you realize, shit, I've got a problem here. When you need to have a beer to go to work, or to go into London, you have to pop into the nearest Wetherspoons for 2-3 pints before you actually can do anything. And then that's when I realized I had issues, and I was in and out of AA for many years because I just didn't believe that I had a problem as such. I was just going through the motions. And then I went to Croatia. And it really, really hit me is when I had Luca, our first baby. I went out for a loaf of bread and came back 2 or 3 days later. It was, and that was normal. That was just a normal thing. And I remember Sean from the Big Yellow House, bless him, got my car, drove me home, still had the same loaf of bread.
I was just going to say, did you remember the bread?
Yeah, remembered the bread. And Yelena just said, that's it. It's just like either the drink or the family, one of the two. And the thing is, when you've got a problem with drink, if you think you've got a problem with alcohol or a substance or with gambling or with sex or with anything of that such, if you think you've got a problem, you have, because you're already thinking it, you know. That's my rule of thumb. And I always knew I had a problem. And she, Jelena, went out of her way to find somebody within Croatia who was English, who knew all about AA. And we found someone in Zadar, which is my nearest city. And he became my sponsor. And I went and met him the next week. And I've been sober ever since. I haven't picked up a drink of alcohol in almost 9 years now. So yeah, it was killing me. It was killing me. I could do 20 pints a day, easy. That's starting, you know. That's starting. I mean, you know, like, do you know Manchester at all? You know, you know where Eccles is. I used to live in Eccles. And, I used to get the train from Eccles to Manchester Piccadilly, the yellow tram. I could do and I'd get a packet of Foster's, or not Foster's, Stella or something like that from the shop, and I'd drink that on the tram, and I'd do the whole pack by the time I got to Manchester Piccadilly, easily, you know. And it just my drinking wasn't normal. It was just so fast. And then the barman used to pick up on it. God, you drink. Your pace is really quick. You really. And I got so embarrassed of it. I used to have to go to other barmen or other pubs, and just, you know, because I would drink a pint in less than a few minutes. And then I'd wake up with these horrendous hangovers, and I only realized that today that the hangover wasn't really a hangover. It would go on for like 3 or 4 days, but it was alcohol poisoning, and then through the alcohol poisoning, it would trigger serious anxiety, possibly depression. I think it was more anxiety than anything. But the sad thing of alcoholism is the only thing that will switch off that anxiety is another beer. And so I could literally feel like death, but as soon as I had another pint, the anxiety would go and I'd feel all right. So then you get in that vicious circle again, excuse the pun. Yeah, and it was the only thing that would switch it off. So I had to get out of that, and I had to completely rework my life. And thankfully I did. And since then, my life has flourished. And I look back on how I was. I wasn't a particularly nice person at the end of my drinking. I was quite self-centered, like we all are. We lie, we steal, we cheat. I wasn't a thief, I don't think, but I would lie, you know, just to get myself out of situations that I got into when I was drinking. I wasn't driving, honestly. Yeah, no. I got caught driving 3 times. I've put myself in some perilous situations drinking. And then I started to black out and wake up with cuts and bits of my face missing and stuff like that. And that was kind of a sign, but I kept on drinking through the blackout period. But when I sobered up, I then just started trying to figure out what to do with my life. And that's when I started figuring out I needed some work in Croatia. And I was like, what can I learn really quickly? And my business partner, or one of my friends who were working on a project, taught me how to do Facebook ads. So I started helping some of the local businesses with Facebook ads. And then I started getting a few clients. And then I opened up the Ibiza work group, 2000 to 2010 on, pretty much, what date are we on? We're about 5 or 6 days away from its birthday. I can't remember what year it was. And it went viral overnight, and we had 7,000 workers join the ex-Ibiza workers join this Facebook group overnight. And it was just absolutely astonishing. And so all of a sudden I was left with this Facebook group full of Ibiza workers. And I was like, how can I monetize this? And then I got on the phone and I was just like, the only person that I knew that was still in Ibiza that I could kind of really trust and who I knew was good at his job, which was Nick Ferguson. Do you know Nick from Cream? He used to run Cream with Mo.
Yeah, we were talking about him when.
Yeah. And I said to him, I've got this group. I don't know what to do with it. Should we do a party? And He goes, yeah, there's something here. And in the first year, we decided to create a week party for old workers, and we put like a poll out, you know, like not a quiz, but a poll out on what should we call the name of the party. And someone said one more time, Ibiza, and all of a sudden, and we picked that as the name, and the rest they say is history. And we went over there. We did a first year. I mean, I was doing lots of stuff in Ibiza before, promotional wise. So that was kind of the first.
I mean, I was going to say, when you were in, so, you know,
Yeah.
What year did you say? 2000, was it? April the 7th?
Yeah, 2000. Until, I think I left in about 2010 or 11, something like that.
Right.
It's all a bit
you were saying the winters were, but what were you doing in the summer?
In the summer, right. First summer there, I worked for Nightlife, which was a club at the bottom of the West End, which many of your viewers will see. And I was really into my hard house at the time. And when I got over there, it was I worked on the West End, and I thought, well, this club that I'm going to go to is going to be like some cheesy karaoke sort of bar. And I was really fortunate. The first night, the music come on, and there's a guy called Alex Ellinger there, and he was just playing some house. And I thought, okay, this is pretty cool. And then Ray Davis, I don't know if you've heard of him. He was the Eden resident. He turned up. It was like the opening night. He turned up to play. And then there was Dermot C, and it was just a full-on trance club. And I was just like, oh my God, I've landed right on my feet here. So I ended up working there all summer with Slipmat. Used to come down on the Wednesdays, and we used to have an old school night. And this used to be we used to work from like 11, 12 o'clock midnight through till 6, 7. And then off the back of that, I met a girl called Kerry, and I went to work for her the next year, yet again, doing parties and running bars, Gorham's Garage, Rumours, Villains, if any of your viewers will have heard of them. And then we used to start doing these workers' parties with the legendary Punch, and a lot of stuff you could get away with back then. But in the Punch was some kind of pharmaceuticals, and every time someone bought a drink, they'd get a drink of this as well. And they were wild parties. They were wild. Leroy Thornhill turned up. He turned up and played a set. Just he wanted to play. He heard about these parties from the Prodigy.
Prodigy, yeah.
Alex P turned up. He played as well, and they were just monstrous parties. They went on to like midday, you know. And it was crazy. I'll never forget. I mean, the police would let things slide then as well, because Kerry, the girl that ran them, she's kind of like the person who showed me what you could do on the underground. And she used to have spotters outside, people outside just looking for the police. And when the police would come down, she would get a signal, and all of a sudden we'd turn the music down, and all you could hear is 400 or 500 people going, shh. So fuck knows what these police officers were just like, oh, because they all knew Kerry anyway, because Kerry had been there since she was 16. She'd been there since the 90s. So she was, if you had the contacts then, you could get away with quite a lot. You could not do that now. And obviously we got shut down in the end, and I think they let the drink slide. But yeah, if you did something like that now, it would be all over the papers, and you'd be doing 5 years, you know, in prison. You can't be handing out Class A's, you know, just for buying a drink. And that's generally
the fun of it.
What we were doing back then. And it was an incredible time. It was a very relaxed, free time.
Can you get done for selling drugs if you're just giving it free with a drink?
I think it's a possession, isn't it? I don't know, but honestly,
yeah, probably.
I've got photos of all this shit, right? And I'll send them to you if you want. And the drink you could have, and there's a couple of people who might comment on this. You could look at the drink and you could see them floating. They would break. We used to have a deal with some of the grafters in the West End. We used to basically, when you had like a lot of bits left over that were crumbled that you couldn't sell, they used to just give it to us for the parties, and in they went, and off we went. And we used to do it all the time. We did it for years and years. We had deals with particular groups within the West End, and we used to get on with them really well. And they used to come in and have their drinks in there and do a bit of this, bit of that. And they used to give us all the leftovers of what they couldn't sell for our parties. So and we did this in loads of venues. And it was we did it on the first boats as well. Yeah, it's stuff that is kind of like legendary now, but yeah, when I look back at it now, I think, fuck me, that is, you could have been nicked for that, you know. But
Yeah.
I don't think they really give a shit in those times, you know. They just wanted the big dealers, and they just let a lot of things slide, you know. But nowadays is completely and utterly different. Yeah, I don't think we could do that at all. But then we started getting into I started doing some parties with a couple of guys called Dean and Gary, who are called the Dirty Rotten DJs.
Right.
And we started when I became manager of a pub called The Ship. And many people will have heard of The Ship. The Ship Inn is where everybody goes who wants to work in Ibiza to get their first job. You go in, on your left-hand side, there's a workers' board. It is a workers' pub. It's an English pub. I was the manager in 2005. A terrible manager. Sorry, Luke. I was shit. I know I was. And it was a quiet night one night, and I said to upstairs with the residents, the Dirty Rotten DJs, they're the residents of the manumission toilets. So they were the DJs who were in the manumission toilets, and they lived upstairs. And I just shouted up to them, lads, do you fancy having a spin down here? It's quiet, you know, it's all vinyl then, and they brought the decks down and we set up a system. And then got one of the bar, I think Daisy was there or someone like that. I said, hold the fort. I'm just going to walk down the West End and just say that we've got the residents from Manumission playing in the pub. And as I did that, before we knew it, about 3 o'clock, because the pub finished at 6-ish, all the workers started coming in. And by about 4, there was a queue to get into this pub. And it went off. It just went crazy in there. And we did 3 or 4 of these parties. We finally got denounced by the police at our last event. And I just jumped up on the pool table and said, guys, we're fucked. We can't do it here anymore. Does anybody fancy getting on a boat? And we thought we'd just do it on a boat. And then that day, Shipwrecked was born, which was the boat party for the workers. And a couple of weeks later, we did our first ever Shipwrecked, which was in the daytime. We did 1, 2, 3 events in the daytime. And then I think the owner of the pub come up with the idea of doing boat parties in the morning at 6 a.m. And so we switched after 2 or 3 day events, and we did Shipwrecked in the morning, and it was the pajama party. I'll never forget it. The Dirty Rotten DJs used to play the whole lot, and it was that back then we used to have the boat for 6 hours. So it wasn't like a 3-hour quick short boat party like And so we did the first. I never forget. There's Jimmy from Play 2. There was 200 workers coming down the road at 6 a.m. in the morning, all dressed up in pajamas. And Jimmy from Play 2 goes to somebody, where are you lot going? We're going on a boat. And Jimmy's like, and he's been there 20 odd years, Jimmy. What? Fucking 6 a.m. in the morning? And yeah. And he was like, oh my God. And off we went. And we jumped on a boat, and we used to come back about midday. It was really late. And then Ecstasis was open. If anybody knows, it was on the roundabout near the Egg. Daytime club was open. And we used to go from the boat straight into the club and party all afternoon as well. So, and that was the beginning of it. And we thought we could only put a couple of 100 people on a boat. So we might as well do some land parties as well. And you're going to laugh, but alongside the Shipwreck parties in 2005, we started a party called the Dirty Rotten Slut Party. And if you see in the corner over there, there's a Slut Party flag. Right. Basically, it was a tongue-in-cheek, kinky party, right? But it was just a laugh. It's like, get the lads to dress up and get all the girls to dress up all kinkily, and we'll go and do an after party. It was like a fancy dress party, but just it wasn't like a sex party, you know. It was just a funny, having a laugh party. And all of a sudden, the Slut Party was born, and it was just the lads used to dress up as women, and it used to be, it was just fucking fun and hilarious, you know. And then we used to start putting loads of what's that? Oh, you might have to cut this. I've forgotten the name of it. Viagra. That's it.
Oh,
We used to crush up the pills and we used to throw those in, but then we used to get loads of Viagra and Kimagra. Kimagra is like the liquid version. So basically, we used to throw all this into the punch, and everyone used to be high as a kite, but really fucking horny as well. So yeah, so we used to do this at loads of different venues. We never really stuck to the same venues. We did them at loads of different venues, and we were doing these for years, and we ended up doing them at Space. But obviously we couldn't get away with doing the punch in space because that was a no-no. So we used to hire coaches, and so we used to put the punch on the coaches, and then it was the days when Space used to let people out. We used to hide it in the bushes. Everyone used to be running out of space and necking it and running back into space. I remember
running back in with a boner.
They were just great times, and we did those for many years in the mornings. So we used to make our money from the workers' events, and I never forget someone said to us, "Dex, you got to do tourist parties," and I just no, it wasn't really for me, And someone said to me, "You'll never make money out of just doing the events for the workers." And I tell you what, we did. We never charged anyone to get in, but we always took a certain commission from the bars, and because we were doing that, and there were so many workers at the time, we were making good money out of it. And Ibiza was relatively cheap there then. If you could work, if you could stay, if you could live all year round, you could get a yearly contract that wouldn't cost you, what is it, like £1,000 a week or whatever it is now. I don't know what it is. It's just a joke over there now. And so yeah, we were doing that, and then the sad day came where there was a lot of gang violence in Ibiza one year to do with territories, drug territories. I think a gun was involved at one point, let off out in San An, and they banned the morning events in San Antonio. So San Antonio that year said no more to our events, and so we thought, right, what are we going to do? So we go San Jose, which is the council region just outside of San Antonio, was still allowing these events. So we decided to do bus people at 6 a.m. to events, which included Space and included swingers clubs and all sorts of venues. Any venue we could get hold of, we used to do brothels and whatever. Couldn't care, as long as they had a particular license and we could do it. We would turn their venue into a slut party. And that year they then cancelled the morning events in San Jose as well. That was when Ibiza lost their 24-hour party. We used to be a 24-hour party, but now it went from I know they still do illegal villa parties over there, but it used to be legally you could party 24 hours a day in Ibiza, but now it says you have to open at 4:30 in the afternoon, and you have to close at 6 a.m. unless you have a particular license, like Amnesia will on their opening party and their closing party. They will grant a couple of those a year, but we were doing 2 a week, of these sort of things, or 1 a week minimum. And so we were making good money out of that, doing it all through the summer. Still doing other jobs. The guys were the residents at Bar M. I was doing stuff for all sorts of clubs, promotional wise, working bars. But when they removed that morning party culture, and that was the year Swedish House Mafia started blowing up, Tiesto come over, all these big corporates started turning up. So we had to turn our small little event into an evening event, and it just folded. I mean, it collapsed in on itself. It was a morning event, it was a messy workers after party. And then we tried. Well,
surely you needed the workers, because if you're doing it at a time when the workers are working, and they come to your event, don't they?
So we tried to turn it into a more of a tourist-based angled party, but it just didn't resonate. It didn't resonate as much with them, because yet again you had these huge corporate parties now. Like Carl Cox was an amazing thing that people were going to. Tiesto was there. Space was still going. Bora Bora was still going. And we started to lose money. And for 2 years, we lost money. And my drinking got heavily worse and worse and worse. And my drug taking got heavily worse and worse. And I then got in a few scrapes. And and I thought it was time to leave, and I left 1 year thinking I'd be back a couple of weeks later, and I just didn't come back.
Right.
You know, so that was it. Yeah, and I tried, and then I had to start cleaning myself up a little bit. And the next thing I knew, I always had this thing about Croatia. Like everyone was saying, oh, have you seen what's going on in Croatia? And I did check it out, and I contacted the clubs and ended up doing some stuff out here, and that's why I'm here today. But yeah, it's been a long journey.
So did you meet your missus? Is she Croatian?
Yeah, she's Croatian. That's the reason why I didn't go back to Ibiza, I think. Why I stopped drinking is because I met her, we had a baby, and my life changed. It was as simple as that. And I really wanted to get into the club scene over here more, the festival scene here more, but I never really did. And weirdly, my Ibiza business started to flourish. One More Time started to flourish. I started to do more things with Nick. Then I found out I had a talent for social media, and I was getting a lot of artists coming to me to say, how do I improve my presence on social media? And I started promoting more and more events with Nick, and started managing more people's social media accounts. And the next thing I know, I've got an office here, and I'm flourishing. So I didn't really get into the Croatia market as much as I wanted to.
Yet.
It's still a goal of mine. It's still a goal of mine. And funny enough, I bumped into one of the owners of the clubs a couple of days ago. He said, yeah, if you've got any ideas. And I do have some ideas for over here. But to be honest, we've got so much going on in Ibiza now. And with working with Adele, and I work on lots of other projects as well. It's difficult, you know, and doing a podcast. It's time consuming, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to. So, how did the podcast come about? What was the catalyst for that?
I was doing with my social media huge amounts of content for other people, and I was just like, okay, I need to get this video made, that video made, this video made, and I have always used outsource my editing to teams of people over in the Philippines, and 2 years ago, I decided to set up an outsourcing company called Creating Crowds, which basically people would come to me with raw footage. And then we would turn that raw footage into a final edit for people. And we would turn that around within a day. And it would be a lot quicker, a lot cheaper, and a lot, probably 9 times out of 10, a lot better than a US or a European edited company's output. And we started getting a lot of work, and then I started doing a lot of work for podcasters. And then I said to myself, oh, I can do this. I might as well do one with all the people that I know within the industry. And then I'll outsource all the editing to my team. It won't be a lot of work. And then I started last March. Last March.
You just had your birthday, didn't you?
Yeah. And then I thought I'd just get my team to help me out do the edit. Well, I was wrong. They couldn't get the vision that I had on back to me because they weren't there. You know, they weren't in Ibiza. These guys are thousands of miles away in the Philippines. You know, they don't know what the Golden Gate pub is. They don't know what the ship is. They don't know when people are. And I wanted to have my podcast where it had a lot of more context. I didn't just want it to be a one-on-one conversation. I wanted to have video. I wanted to have images. I wanted to make it really layered. And one of my edits, the first edits were taking like 15 hours. And it was just like, I really wanted to produce something different remotely. And, but when I was trying to outsource it, it just wasn't working. So I ended up doing all the work myself.
Right.
So I've literally had to rebuild my life around this podcast because I'm still doing all the editing, and it's a year down the line, and I'm having to get up at like 4 a.m. just to get the edits done for this week because I've still got all my other work to do as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible. Like because yours is very different to what we do, like because like you said, the editing it must be hard. It's like me going in the studio and then saying to somebody, or even saying to the engineer, oh, I want a track that's like
Yeah.
If I've got something
exactly
in my
that.
head, you've got to relay that. You've got to, be able
Impossible.
to, yeah.
Yeah.
And so what you do, whereas, ours is going to be this. We just chop the end off. I mean, sometimes there's little bits to mess around with. If like my keys just fell off the counter, and I think my keys broke.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Mine's really in depth. I wanted it to be really have a lot of context, purely because I lived in Ibiza for so long, and I have got drawers and drawers of hard drives of stuff that has been sent to me over the years through the Ibiza worker group. I've probably got more old school Ibiza content than anybody. I would say the people that would outdo me by far are people like Clubbervision, but they're more UK based. But I thought, let's not waste all that. And the stupid me thought it'd be a great idea and then I got too involved and I wanted it to be perfect. And and I'd be there for like 15 hours some weeks just trying to get this edit. And then I get like 300 views. I'm just like, oh God, it's a killer, but I'm still doing it. I've kind of now I'm a year in. I've kind of realized that I don't need to do as much. Once you've got a viewer, the viewers watching the podcast, I don't think there's a need to overload it with B-roll. And I'm finally finding that happy medium, because before I was just doing too much. But I think you learn by doing too much and then cutting it down. I suppose like making a record. You probably do too much, then you start getting rid of the shit, and skimming it out. And I'm getting to that now. So it's like I did I've just done a recent podcast, and it took me a couple of hours to do, and that was like the quickest one I've ever done. So yeah, I'm slowly getting there. I'm slowly trying to find that happy medium, because it was. I think I spent 800 hours last year on editing alone. It was just insane, like looking at the clock. And then knowing I was having to do other work as well, and the events. I still run with God's Kitchen as well, and we have all these events that we're doing for One More Time, and we've got a big Ibiza calendar, and we've just launched. We're doing a weekly Ibiza event this year as well. So yeah, we've got all that to manage. So I've got responsibilities to Nick as well. But weirdly, the podcast has really helped the events.
I'll bet.
Every time an event podcast goes out, we see a spike in sales.
Right.
That's bizarre. And not even necessarily an Ibiza event. It might be God's or something. But you'll see an additional X, Y, Z amount of tickets go on the day after because of the podcast. So it's a revenue generator for tickets somehow. So yeah, it's bizarre.
Well, someone said to me last week, because obviously I work with Matt to do this show, and someone they said, well, surely you can just film it yourself. I said, yeah, I could film it myself, but there's no way that I would have edited and had the episodes out on time every week for the last, 67 came out this week. So 67 episodes, 67 weeks. That's what Matt does. He makes sure it's all done and out on time.
Mine?
He's doing like this.
I've literally I even thought again this morning, can I get an editor in to do this? And I don't think it's ready for it yet. I want to get it to a stage where I'm through. We crunch the data on how things are performing, and once I'm in a happy position where I know it's settled enough to have an editor, I think I'll do it. But I'm not quite ready yet. I think once I get to like 100 episodes, I think then I'll seriously consider getting another editor in. But that's another year away. So,
well, I'm going to put that in my calendar, and when it gets to 100, I'm going to send you a message and say, "You ready yet, mate?"
Yeah, I will.
And I bet you say no.
I'm pretty much ready now as well, because you know this, how fickle the YouTube algorithm can be. Like, you think sometimes you're going to have a podcast that's really going to pop, and it doesn't. And you're like, what the fuck, And it's because we're still in such an embryonic period. You got to remember, some of these really successful podcasts have been going 10, 15 years. You know, YouTube 1 year or even 2 years is still young. They're still testing you. You can be in a compound phase for 18 months.
Yeah.
which I'm still in. I'm nowhere near out of the testing phase yet, and it's really weird because I thought I was coming out of the testing phase 3 weeks ago, but my last 3 episodes haven't gone as well as I thought they would do. And then I've looked at the data, and I've
that
gone,
mine?
well, yeah, no, no, yours done well, and I'm just like, it was nothing to do with the guest. It was just the thumbnail was fine. People were clicking through. The click-through rate was fine. It's just YouTube didn't show it. You can see by the numbers to many people. It showed it to a small audience.
Right.
So we only got a few thousand, a reach of a few thousand, but our click-through was good. So all they're doing is testing the episodes every single week. So I'm not through that phase yet. And once I'm out of that phase, then I'll consider an editor. But yeah, I can get really geeky with numbers and figuring stuff out like that. And I think that's why I've managed to have quite a lot of success with social media as well. Like I work with Judge Jules, and I've worked with people like Paul van Dyk, and I've worked with a lot of big corporates on how to basically improve their social media presence. And basically, they're making schoolboy errors, and you've got to be up with the algorithm changes every 6 months, and if you're not if you're not inside that world, you don't know what you're working. You're working in a different algorithm for a different algorithm. Like at the moment, there's stuff that you can do that's so easy to get organic reach. Like look at Adele Andea, what she's doing. She's got less than 10,000 followers, or has, but she's getting over 1 million views every month.
Right.
You know, so it's you've got to be able to give the algorithm what it wants. So at the moment, we're doing that quite well. So yeah,
what's she giving it that it wants?
Really good music.
Oh.
Really good music. If you ever look at her pages, all she's just been playing on a turntable vinyl of classic songs.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Some of them have been getting over 100,000 views.
Right.
Insane.
Is that on Instagram or on YouTube?
Instagram, on Facebook.
Right.
Face. I still consider Facebook more powerful than Instagram for an artist. A lot of people will say why. For us, our demographic is a bit older. They're over 25. I think Instagram has kind of had its day a little bit. I think TikTok is far more powerful now. But for us, I find it a lot easier to sell tickets on Facebook because you can send them to direct links. But yeah, I just find it a lot easier to get organic reach on Facebook, and it's still used by over 1 billion people. Instagram, meh. I think it is being taken over by TikTok. And if you compare 2 years ago, the amount of artists that were using TikTok and people over 30 that were using TikTok to today, it's a huge difference. Lots of people are moving to TikTok. So kind of I'm in that Facebook, TikTok world. Instagram, I'm kind of losing love for, sadly, but I've never been a big fan really. So, but I think
interesting.
Yeah. But it seems to work for me and my clients. We sell tickets. We move a lot of tickets. So that's what we're doing. Facebook is without doubt my number one platform. And with my podcast, at the moment, I'm not pushing it on socials a lot. I'm trying to let YouTube just figure it out, you know, and Apple Podcasts figure it out, and Spotify figure it out. But the unfortunate thing with Apple is you can manipulate the charts. There's a lot of people in there manipulating charts with artificial downloads. I mean, from bot farms. And so I'm kind of like, my benchmark is YouTube, I think, at the moment. Sorry, I just had a call come through there.
That's all right. Right. And what have you? Is there anything that you've kind of learned by doing this podcast?
What have I learned from doing a podcast? Yeah, that I can't outsource what's in there. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I've had to do it myself. I never thought I'd do it myself. I think if you want to do something properly, you've got to do it by yourself. You've got to do it yourself. I don't think you can hand it over to other people. Obviously, you've got a good relationship with your editor, but you share a vision, don't you?
Well, the thing is with ours as well, because it's literally like we just top and tail it. The editing, unless something major, like happens during the episode, we just record and it just goes out as it is. Yours is a lot more, there's more kind of direction. Yours is more of a, I mean, anyone that's watching this, check Dexter's podcast out, because it is fantastic and it is very different. Like it's more
a documentarian type of thing. I really go into the archives and find old flyers and old posters and old footage, and that was just purely because of what I've been doing on with Facebook over the years. And I just thought, why not waste all this? But then I got carried away with it, and now everyone expects that, and I'm just sitting there at like 3 a.m. like, oh God, why am I doing this? And I have felt like
made a rod for your own back there.
But we're almost through it, and I think and I've so many opportunities have come off the back of the podcast. I'm sure you'll have experienced the same thing with Hard House History, where you relaunched your label and
I mean, because of the podcast. Well, I'm back DJing again because of the podcast.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It literally would not have happened had it not been for this and the conversations I've been having with people.
I wouldn't have met Adele and Dea if it wasn't for it. I'd heard of her. I was hearing a lot of things about this girl DJ turning some heads in the hard house trance world through Peach. And then I just did a Peach interview with them, and when they were talking, I just went away and listened to some of the music and went, oh, this is really edgy, this is very Tony DeVitti, and I invited her back to do a one-on-one interview. And straight away I saw there was some fire in there, and I just said, let's just start working together. And since then she's absolutely blown up. I mean, she's selling out her own venues, just with no lineups. We've done most of the tickets for XOYO London within the first 24 hours, just with her name on it. So it's incredible.
Is that the Adele All Dayer?
Adele All Dayer, yeah. Cool name, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I did have a little triple.
I'll give that one to my business partner, Cliffy. He said that. Funny enough, Graham Goals just called me while I've been on the call. Him and Chris found Adele, but Adele's got quite a good story where she's been DJing since she was like 16, I think, for 20 years, and on vinyl, and she plays all sorts of music: trance, house, hard house, techno, and that's why we're doing this all dayer thing, because we're going to go through all the genres. And she's just got this fantastically faithful community, and I just didn't want to see that wasted, and I felt like she might have got snapped up by some agent or manager. I think we've had this discussion before that sometimes you can just get the wrong agents or the wrong managers, and you can get fucked. I mean, it's happened to you, hasn't it? Yeah, and I just felt like that she didn't know too much about the business world, and I kind of liked that. And I said, well, don't worry yourself about it. Let me deal with that. And we've just struck up a really good friendship, and here we are now. So yeah, I'm enjoying the podcast. But yeah, the one thing I have learned is that it's a lot harder than I thought, and I can see why most podcasts fail.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that's exactly what I was saying before. Like, I would have got to probably, episode 4 and then gone, oh, fuck, would have missed a week, and then that would have turned into 2 weeks, and it would have just, gone to...
I've seen many start in the last year, and they haven't hit 3. They've hit 3 or 4, and now they don't exist anymore.
The stats are crazy on the... In fact, I got a call yesterday from this Indian guy in a call center asking me about if I needed help with SEO on... because he'd seen the URL, alive and direct, we called it. It was a health and fitness podcast. Me and my friend Tim, who's been on Hard House History, bizarrely, but he's the guy that got me. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be where I am now, because he was the guy that invited me back to the after parties and sort of befriended me. And then I had this
Right.
whole new
One of
group
the
of
guys
friends.
you were speaking, you met at the club.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I remember you talking about him. Yeah.
so he ended up going down years later, like down the health route, and I became a personal trainer. So, you know, when people said live and direct, well, so we did alive and direct, and it was a podcast. We did one episode, and that's got to be, hold on, 2010. That's got to be 13, 14 years ago. And a couple of days ago, this guy rang and said, "Do I need any help with SEO for your alive and direct podcast?" I'm like, "Mate, we did one episode 15 years ago. Like, I'm fine,
crazy.
thanks."
They've been scraping the internet, but yeah,
Yeah.
I speak, and it is soul destroying as well, because you get this great guest on, and then all of a sudden you do this, and then YouTube will just show it to like a few thousand people. Because I refuse to spend money on it, paid media. I just think if you're really going to make something out of a podcast, do it organically, like you do, you know, because you're faking it if you put money behind it. Because I know of podcasts who are boasting of 10, 20, 30, 100,000 views across many niches, that a lot of their views come from Vietnam or South America. You know, they're just vanity numbers. And you can tell straight away because they've got less than 10 comments. You know, how many comments do you get on a good podcast? Dozens, yeah?
I mean, some of them 70, 80 comments,
Yeah. And your podcast is still in a very embryonic stage, you know, like mine. And so that's the beauty of it. But when you've got podcasts that are just pumping hundreds of pounds every month of money into paid media, I think it's just faking it, you know, it's making vanity numbers. So, and it's
like doing an event like Adele's event, but you paying everybody to go.
Basically,
it's the same thing, isn't it?
They're not interested, and you're not building that community. And also, YouTube knows that as well, so they're never going to show you on. Like, I see your podcasts come up on my recommendations. You know,
I see yours.
Yeah, that's because we're organic and we've deserved that. We've reached that. But I don't see any of the others that I'm talking about pop up on there because YouTube knows it's low quality content because they're having to push it through paid media. So if you're being suggested or featured, you're doing a good job of your content, basically. But if people are just bouncing, seeing it for a couple of minutes, like I think the reason why I spend a lot of time with the content is because I don't want people leaving. Like, our watch time is really long. It's 15 to 20 minutes on average. People will watch a podcast episode, which is quite a lot, even though our episodes are over an hour long. But I was working on some podcasts with my company that are having like less than 3 minutes. And I'm just like, well, that's why it's not working. So I thought if I put all this B-roll in and all these images, it will make people watch for longer. And it's that's kind of my idea behind it. And it's kind of shaped the way the podcast is. But I'm still learning. Every week. And I'm still changing. I'm still changing thumbnails, and I'm still testing this and testing that. And it's a never-ending story.
I remember the first time I was laid on the bed and I had YouTube on, and then one of my episodes came up as a recommendation. Like the first time, it happens quite a bit now, but the first time it happened, I'm going, mate, we've cracked it.
I know. I keep on getting. I'm going to tell you a funny story about Lisa Lashes in a moment. I haven't actually told Lisa about this. Okay. I've got some young children, bless them, and they love their YouTube. They watch a bit of YouTube before they go to bed, and we've got different accounts. I've got my account. I've got the different accounts you can have. Yeah. Basically, they've got theirs in their bedroom, and I flashed up, and they went, "Daddy's on TV. Daddy's on TV." And it was the Lisa Lashes episode. Yeah. And my little one keeps on saying, "Daddy, who's Lisa?" He's really suspicious.
Thinks you're having an affair.
He's gone into my missus and said, "Daddy's got a girlfriend and her name's Lisa." they're on TV. And he's always pointing her out because I have like a little strip at the top of the photo. But unfortunately, as well, Lisa's is in one of my most popular videos, so you always see her there, and he's always pointing. There's Lisa, like that.
Like a wink.
It's a joke in the house at the moment, but I've never told Lisa this, and I really should because it's he actually mentioned it yesterday because he's
well, don't remember, clip it as a reel and put it out next week.
yeah, that's brilliant. It's so funny though, but yeah, no, it's been a hard journey, but I am trying now to find ways of cutting the work hours down. Because I think we've done over 50 episodes. I think the YouTube's learning us, but they do say it's between 70 and 100 episodes where the magic happens.
Ooh,
so you're almost there, guys.
Nearly there.
You're almost there. You know.
In fact, I think you might actually be. You might be the 70th episode. I think. You'll be around that.
Now is the time. And this is why I don't do any shorts either. I did start doing shorts. I made a really big decision not to do them because I only wanted to generate long-term viewers, attract long-term viewers to the site, because there's a difference between a short-term viewer and a long-term viewer. A short-term viewer is what is most prominent in the world. Like I think the attention span of a viewer now, you have to grab someone's attention within 0.7 of a second for a reel. You know, it used to be under 3 seconds. Now it's like 0.7. So, and there's difference between people watching a reel. You get those viewers who love just my friends are like, you can just see them just watching reel after reel. But there's also that different. There's a long form viewer who would like to sit and watch something for half an hour on TV or in bed at night. Yeah. And I wanted to train the algorithm for our channel only to contact those people. Only to show us. So I removed the shorts completely. And I have done, and I will do until I've got to that point where I know that shorts won't interfere with that. And this has all been done just through watching geeked out YouTube videos, people who've succeeded on YouTube, ChatGPT's advice as well, and testing. So I removed the whole shorts aspect from my YouTube channel and Instagram as well, and I might advertise maybe one or two, make a couple of posts a week on socials, but I don't want any short-term viewers to be associated with the channel. So yeah, it's a bit risky, but I know it will get me better quality, longer form viewers to the channel. So yeah, make another rod from my back.
Yeah. So company accepted, obviously. Who's been your favorite guest?
Oh, fucking hell, that's a question. I did love Rob Tezera.
He's amazing, isn't he?
I loved Rob. I loved Lisa, obviously.
Yeah.
I think Rob surprised me more than anyone.
Yeah.
Do you know why? Because I didn't know about I knew Rob was a hard house DJ. And when he come on, I had all these questions for him, and there was like 40 questions there, and didn't get past number 2 with Rob, and I had to we had to do another podcast. I had no idea about Rob's history in the acid house scene. I had no idea. You know, you can't know everything about the scene.
No, of course, no.
And I was very, very involved with Ibiza for a long time, so my knowledge of the history in Ibiza is probably far outweighs most people's. But when I speak, I did miss that 10-15 year period. As I explained, I missed your music. Because I was in Ibiza, not listening to hard house at the time. And I'm enjoying it, by the way, because I'm listening to a lot of it at the moment. I've really circled back into the hard house. But Rob's was the most fascinating. I had no idea he was so involved with that. And I didn't know he went to prison for a rave and all sorts of stuff, you know. So, and this was just after his car crash as well.
When you had him on?
When I interviewed him. It was a few weeks after his car crash. I think.
Well, so when oh, sorry, go on.
I think we were meant to do it literally that week. He had the car crash, but he was always one of the guys I wanted to speak to. But I had no idea. But he was great to talk to. There's been so many. There's been so many.
Well, when he came on my show the first time, we put the episode out on it's Monday in the UK, but it's Tuesday in Australia. And then I got a message from somebody saying, I can't remember what it was. Basically saying, that could have been a bit awkward if Rob's crash had been any worse than it was. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, oh, Rob Teixeira was in a really bad car crash. So he recorded with us like the week before. The episode came out on the Monday, and he'd had the crash on the day before.
Right.
Did
you keep it up? You did, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. I messaged him and said, mate, are you okay? And he messaged back, and like if he would have asked us to take it down.
That week. We were filming that week, but we put it off for another few weeks. So we were a few more weeks down the line. But yeah, it was an awful crash. He was very lucky to walk away from that.
Yeah.
So you see the state of the car?
I saw a picture of it at the time.
Yeah. But no, I've had so many wonderful guests. I've got so many coming up as well. I've got quite a big backlog now, which is good as well. And I'm starting to put some episodes out on a Wednesday. But the nice thing is I'm having so many people come to us now. And press offices. I had 2 press offices come to us saying, can you interview some of our stuff for Ibiza this year? And I'm just like, but some of it doesn't fit, like, this cooler, deeper house sort of stuff. It's not really my audience. I'm having to back it a little bit. But it's nice to be thought of.
That's yeah. Well, I mean, I guess the connection for you is always going to be Ibiza. Like if it doesn't really matter what the genre is. If it's Ibiza, then there's that connection.
I've just got to be careful because I've gone off beat a couple of times with some guests. I don't know if you have, and then you found out that your reach isn't quite as what it was meant to be. You're expecting better. And I think
there's been a couple of people that I've had on that I thought were going to be bigger episodes and then maybe weren't initially, but then there's been the opposite effect. So when Madders came on, like because Madders is not on social media, and we kind of rely on, like we'll do a reel and then we collaborate with that artist, and then, so it's showing it to their audience, and then that's how we sort of that's how we let people know that we're here. And I thought because Madders is not on social media, it might just, sort of slip under the radar. Fucking hell, it was it's like our most viewed episode.
I imagine it get into the Sunday Central groups.
Sorry?
There's mine. I did Madders as well, and we were fortunate enough that the Sunday Central groups picked up on it.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, they did push.
All of a sudden, it was, he's alive. And then everyone was on about your podcast. So we're going, he's done one with Paul as well.
Right. Yeah.
But funny enough, he messaged me yesterday wanting some photos because I put together a folder of about 500 photos from Sunday Central. Old flyers and stuff like that. So I'm gonna. He hasn't got any of them, so I'm just gonna send him over a load of stuff for him. But yeah, no, he's cool. But Rob Teixeira was one of my favorites without a doubt. But there's been so many. That's actually a really good question. Yeah.
Well, last question for you, because some of the stuff I got here we've kind of already talked about.
Yeah, I'm a waffler. I do apologize.
No, not at all. If you could interview anyone that's no longer with us, who would it be? So if you could resurrect somebody from the dead just for a quick podcast and then send them back.
Tony DeVitt.
Oh, same as me.
Without doubt. That's a no-brainer. If it wasn't for Tony, I would not be sitting here now doing what I do. He was the only DJ I knew out of the circuit. The name, I didn't know anyone's name. The only person I knew of is that bloke who just rang me, Graham Gold. I knew everybody within the industry, within our clubs. I knew the DJs. There was Chris Martin and Drew and all those guys, Darren Pierce. But I didn't know anyone. The only DJ I knew outside of our little clubbing world was Tony DeVitt, and then Graham Gold I'd heard of through my missus, whose best mate worked at Kiss FM. So it was weird to interview Graham. Actually, but Tony DeVitt, absolutely number one. I think I can't believe that he's still so influential nowadays.
It's amazing.
They haven't aged, have they?
No. I heard a track. I've been going through all the. There's loads of stuff on my record label that I've never heard because I kind of stepped away. Ben Stevens took over, so there's years of stuff that happened, and because I was so removed, I didn't listen to it. When I was back there, he gave me the USB. So there's obviously hundreds of tracks, and it's all in alphabet. I've got it in a USB. I stick it in the car, and it's all in alphabetical order. So it's like there's stuff that I licensed back in the day, and then the next track will be something that I've just never
yeah.
heard before. There was in a couple of tracks where I'm like, that's obviously Tony DeVee influence, you know, whoever did it have not copied, but it's definitely like meant to sound like a certain Tony DeVee track.
I had a similar thing. I did a podcast with Mickey Modell the other day from Clubland. Mickey Modell.
Okay, right. Yeah.
And he's sent me over some tracks as well. And my God, I've never heard them before, but they're from like early 90s. You can hear the Tony DeVitt, and he even says in them they're very Tony DeVitt led. But yeah, so I think he created something in the entire genre.
Well, the crazy thing as well with him is that, and I'd never even, it was Mark Kavanagh that pointed it out when he came on the show, and he was saying that the Tony DeVee era was only 3 years. It was 95 when he blew up, and he died in 98. So it's just that 3-year window, and then nearly 30 years later, we're still talking. The most bizarre thing that happened to me in the last 12 months is I had a dream that I did an interview with Tony through AI. So he obviously was
no way.
Like but did somehow. So I was interviewing him as if it was him, but it was all through AI.
Yeah,
it was bizarre.
Rebirthed him through AI, basically.
Yeah, and I was interviewing him. So anyway, I woke up, and then that day, or that night, I got a message from his sister, who I've never spoken to in my life.
Yeah,
I knew of her. I'd heard the name.
You know Jane.
Jane, yeah. But that night, she sent me a message. Hi, I'm just on holiday. I've been listening to your podcast, really enjoying it. You should get Fergie on. And I'm like, well, I'd love to, but, you know, I've not spoken to the guy in 20 years. And she ended up connecting me with Fergie. But just how random is that? I had this dream that morning, and that night his sister reached out to me.
I believe in all that shit, serendipity. Since I got sober, I'm quite spiritual. I'm not religious. There's a big difference between religious and spirituality.
Yeah.
I do believe that something has been watching my back, because I should either be dead, in prison, or something else, you know, and something watched over me. And I very much believe in serendipity, and I also believe in manifestation as well. If you think about something for long enough and you direct yourself in that right path, it will happen. Act like it's already happened. You know, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
you know,
I've been good at that.
I've been doing it all my life. You know, but yeah, I'm in a very fortunate position that I've been able to work within the music business, which, for all its dark sides, is been a passion of mine for all my life. So it's not like I'm going to work every day. It is a passion of mine. But yeah, there is certain elements of the industry that do get on my tits still. More now rather than before. But I suppose that's what happens when.
Oh, we're turning into grumpy old men now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. I love it. And I love seeing things work. But yeah, I'm enjoying doing the podcast. I've got some great guests coming up as well.
Excellent. Well, guys, like I said before, check out Dexter's podcast. I think you'll really enjoy it. If you like mine, you'll definitely like his. We're going to wrap it up for now, but we're going to get back on for a few more questions for the members area. So we'll sign off. Dexter, thanks again for your time. Always a pleasure.
Cheers.
Thanks, man.
You were listening to Hard House History with Paul Glazby.